What's going on, Twitch and YouTube? Welcome to episode 43 of the U.S.S. Cerritos tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we got about a 27-minute video. We're going to be getting kind of loose odds and ends done in today's episode that I've been meaning to get done for a little while. Before we move on into building other areas on the ship. I've gotten a lot of building done this weekend. I've completed the ready room for the captain, as well as the ship conference room, and also general crew quarters, as well as the holodeck. So I've definitely gotten some stuff done, but there's some more things to do on this ship. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. One of the first things I want to do here is we're not going to be changing the design of the rooms for our shuttle bay parking areas, but we are going to be change the color of the black wall to the gray concrete. And my main reason for doing this, and I've talked a little bit about this in my past episodes, is that eventually when we add in our shuttlecraft, if we left the back walls the white color that they are when we build our white shuttlecraft, they're going to get lost in the back, in the background. So an easy way to fix that is just to swap the walls out for a darker color that pops out, and that's basically what we're going to be doing here. And just an easy fix, swapping out the walls for the gray, and the back wall I actually just kind of made it simple, and I just added an extra row to it. The reason I didn't take out what we had is because if I would have deleted another layer, we would have been on the outside of the ship. So that was my main reason for not going back any further and just adding another layer. But it's not really a big deal because these rooms are still pretty big, so we can definitely get away with adding at least one more layer, at least on the back wall. And still, I think we'll be looking pretty good. Definitely been getting a lot of progress done on the Cerritos. We are really rocking and rolling on this build. I don't think there's any way that we're going to be going anywhere near what we went up to for the Disco Enterprise on the tutorial series. Um, there's just not that much left to do. Um, Part of that's attributed towards the fact that I was able to um, cut down some of the build time required to make one of these. So tried to build this ship a little bit more efficiently as far as the process in which I built it. Hopefully you noticed that during the course of this tutorial. And as you can see, we're only at episode 43, and we've gotten a significant amount of stuff done on our interior so far. But if you're following me on or watching me on Twitch tonight, stick around after the live stream. I'm going to be hopping back on, and I'm actually going to start working on my next build tonight. And I'm really excited about it to officially start construction on the Enterprise D. We're not done with the Cerritos, but I've gotten so much of it done at this point that I at least want to start the Enterprise D, and I want to try to have everything on the Cerritos done by the end of this week. And my main reason for wanting to do that is I want to get as much extra stuff that I can get done this week, because next week my schedule is going to slightly change, not on my YouTube channel or my live streams. That actually won't be impacted at all, but I'm just going to be having a slightly different work schedule and won't be on as much, but I'll still be putting out videos Monday through Friday, and then on my YouTube channel and on my live stream, I'll still be streaming Thursdays, or excuse me, Sunday through Thursdays in the evening. But I want to try to get a lot recorded just so I have some backup stuff to go off of in case I'm not in a position where I can't record every day after that. So I really want to get that going. And the Enterprise D is going to be a lot of work, and I kind of want to start it now while I'm still working on the Cerritos. This way, in case I hit any snags while I'm doing it, I can correct those changes, because I'm going to do the same thing for the Enterprise D that I'm going to be doing that I did for the Cerritos, and then also the Disco Enterprise. I'm going to wait to start the tutorial series at least until I have the exterior completed. And my main reason for wanting to do that is I want to have an actual thumbnail of the ship. Um, I do a little bit want to talk about what I have going on here. Then we'll talk more about the Enterprise D. But you can see we can't change out the flooring in here. Really only in the front. And if we do that, we'll actually be changing the hull on the outside of the ship. So we can't change the flooring to the gray, but that's okay. We could either leave it the way it is. We've got enough of a differentiation within the color there that I don't think a shuttle would blend in just with what we have. If you really wanted to, you can go in with carpeting, whatever color you wanted to use, or the gray, and it would be pretty close. But that's just kind of where we're at on that. I think that actually looks pretty good, though. All things considered, um, yeah, I really like that. That adds a nice contrast, at least to those rooms, so there's not just a ton of white everywhere, you know. And this way, when we add in our shuttles, hopefully they pop a little bit more with changing the walls out for the gray. This was the other thing. I still haven't decided on if I was going to turn these areas into cargo rooms or not. Um, that's something I need to add to my list of things that I want to do on this build before I complete it, is make sure I have a cargo room in place. Um, there's still a couple of things I also need to do on the Cerritos. I need to make like the bar, the 10 forward area. I forget the name of it on the Cerritos. I don't even know if they actually mentioned it on the show. They probably did. I just don't remember it. But like on the Enterprise D, I know it was like 10 forward. But basically, like just the bar or lounge on the Cerritos. So that's something I'm going to need to add also. And then the crew quarters, officers' quarters, and then captain's quarters and whatnot. And what else do I need to do after that? I think might have just about everything. Actually, no, I need to do the Flector control room, and I might do like a herbology room or like a science lab. We'll see. We'll see where we end up on it. If you want to see that stuff, let me know in the comments section on YouTube. Definitely love to hear from you regarding that, because I always my builds go off of what people would like to see, and I try to include that in my tutorials. So if there's specific areas you want to see on the Cerritos, be sure to sound off in the comment section now while I'm still working on this build. Because after I move on to other ships, I won't be working on it anymore, and the likelihood of me revisiting it will be a lot less. Um, but we'll play it by ear. There's still some things to do here, but I may not show every single room in the tutorial. I did that for the Disco Enterprise, and I think it actually worked out pretty well. There was one or two rooms I just didn't need to show in the tutorial. It was simple enough, and I wasn't having anybody asking for it either. So um, yeah, yeah, set back wall, that looks great. Just that little change alone makes a difference. I think we're going to add in a little bit of detailing in the floor here. Kind of like some yellow strips. Make it look a little bit more like an entryway point or a landing point. Oh, so I need to go and grab cyan terracotta. I believe that is. Yep. That gives you that extra gray. Why it's called cyan terracotta when it's basically a shade of gray, I don't know. But it looks pretty good, and it gives us one extra color to play with here. Like I said, this is just more of a subtle change, but I still think adding this extra layer of detail into the floor for the shuttle bay, it's not hurting it by any means. And I think It looks a little bit nicer now. Definitely feels a little bit more like a hangar for a large Starfleet ship. Actually, really surprised with how well this room came out, considering that I really um, built a lot of it on the fly. Um, I used Enterprise D as a reference, like had a loose idea of what I wanted to do, and then like I had one screenshot from the show Lower Decks to go off of. But other than that, I mean, pretty much all of this was just trying to take stuff that I saw from both shows and put them together in a way that would feel right to the ship. A lot of that had to do with the way the two shuttle bays are currently shaped. It just made sense to have them connected. And I'm fairly certain that's the way it is on the Enterprise D. So that was my main reason for making that decision here. I think it just works. And it's also, I mean, it's just totally different than how I've done all my shuttle bays in the past. Completely different. Uh, I can definitely say that for not only the shuttle bay on the Cerritos, but also engineering. Engineering is pretty unique to the ship. I mean, just for the location alone, but also like the design of it looks pretty cool, and it came out pretty different for this build. Looks totally different than how my past ships I've done them on my Enterprises and also the Vengeance. Yeah, see, I think that works those lines there. I don't know about those corners like when you first come into the shuttle bay. I may rework the flooring on the entryway point. I'm not sure. But we may touch back on that. We'll see. But right now, we're going to pop over into engineering and get a little bit more detailing in their warp core here. And then I think we're going to blend in the sides a little bit more than what we have currently. And then we're going to hop out to the outside of the ship and get just a little bit more tiny bit of detail that I want to get done, specifically on the upper side of the saucer section, and then we'll wrap up today's episode. We still got some stuff to do, though, about 16 minutes left in today's episode. Right now, I'm just thickening the width of this bar that's basically going around the warp core. Um, the way I had it right up until this point, it just kind of looked weird with me not having this extra layer right there, and it just feels like a more of a complete piece. Um, that's really why I'm adding this extra part here. It almost looks out of place now because this wall right here isn't as thick. So that could be a thing. I might actually go in and thicken up this backside right here to accommodate that. I don't know. But this whole area, I mean, it's not coming out too bad because, I mean, this whole area right here is literally just making um, lemonade out of lemons because I really this was not what I originally wanted to do, but I had no other choice. It was either do this or pick a different spot for my warp core or pick a different spot for the turbo lift going up into the bridge, and neither one of those really seemed like an option. And you can see why I have that with the cut now. That blend like that, it doesn't look bad, but that's still like it looks weird to me. So I'm just going to bring it back to what I had just a moment ago. And you could probably sit here for a good 20 minutes just throwing down different pattern after different pattern. And you might not ever set on something that you're really happy with. I don't think I'm ever going to be fully happy with this area, but I think I've about got it to as good as it's going to get, all things considered. So we're going to curve out this back wall here because I feel like this area here, like it needs some work because now we added that extra lip to the right side. This back wall, it was just kind of standing out a little bit to me. Um, I was thinking about it a little bit off camera, and I was like, you know what? If I maybe have a curve here, it might actually look a little bit nicer um, as far as being blend into the doorway here, and it might look a little bit more like that's always how it was intended. Um, This was actually kind of like a last minute change that I made to this area. You can see that we're gonna have this tiny bit of dead space here, but that's not really a big deal, you know. Just my kind of thoughts on the dead space is that if you're building out your ship and you've conveyed exactly what you're trying to, if you have a little bit of dead space in an area, that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. I always say, you know, build out exactly what you want, and if you have a tiny bit of dead space, you got to cover it up. The only way anyone's really going to know is if you delete that wall and show them. So that's something I always try to take to heart a little bit, and I definitely think that curve there looks a little bit better. um, the only thing, though, is now by doing this, we're kind of going out of the realm of canon for engineering, kind of. But when you walk into engineering from that point of view in the screenshot that we used, engineering still looks like a perfect circle. So you can make the argument, how do you know that wasn't there to begin with? Because you can't tell from the screenshot. So there's liberties that you can take like that, and you can totally get away with it. And that's just what we're going to do here because I feel that it honestly, it just needs it. It's going to look a lot nicer being blended into the doorway here. And yeah, we're getting some lighting in. Then we're going to go back with our half slabs, cover that up so this way we don't have those lights standing out. See, that looks so much nicer um, than what we had a moment ago. Only thing right here, excuse me, right there, that I got to figure something out with this area right here. It's the only part that's kind of sticking out to me. Everything else, though, I think I blended that in probably about as good as I'm going to get it. Now, eventually, what we're going to be doing, everything that actually that we're doing right here with the half slabs, just at least along that wall, is kind of irrelevant because when we come back and we build out our uh, captain's ready room and conference room, we're actually going to be deleting the roof just back here. So you see this line right here, everything behind that, we're going to be taking that out. And the same thing on this side, and we're going to be lowering it down just by one. Um, and the reason I'm going to be doing that is because we just don't have the headroom, and I wanted to be able to build those rooms up there. And I do it in a way that you really can't tell, and it honestly does not change the overall look of this room whatsoever. And I was pretty happy with it. But we'll get there. You can definitely leave that for right now. And when we get into those episodes, I'll show you how I blended that in. And it came out really good, all things considered. Um, I'm really liking the progress that I'm making on this build. A lot of these choices so far are pretty solid. There really hasn't been any areas of the ship so far that I'm not happy with as far as how they came out, as far as what's left. Well, I take that back. The holodeck that I built, I'm don't know if I'm going to show that episode or if I'm going to go back and just redo it. I don't know. I might show part of it, but long story short, I'm not happy with the pattern that I did for the basic holodeck when it's not on, because it turns out that I didn't stay true to how a holodeck should look, and I got to go back and actually rebuild it. Because it's kind of bugging me. It looks a little janky. I may show it just to show like as far as like having a variation and also just kind of like the learning process, you know, as far as everybody making mistakes. Well, we'll see. We'll get there because that's actually going to be coming up here shortly in the next couple of episodes. It's either going to be this week or next week. You say, literally, I just thickened that wall up by one, and that was my solution here for that, just to try to blend it in just a little bit more than what I currently have. And that doesn't look bad, but again, I'm just going with the cut. Um, when in doubt, go with the cut. Doesn't rhyme, but I promise you, it can help you to dictate your shape sometimes, and that's kind of what's going on right here. That I'm not exactly sure what I want to do, so I'm just going with the pattern, and I'm kind of seeing how the pattern looks. Um, 9 times out of 10, you might end up getting something that looks really good. I think the only thing that's really messing it up right now is I can't bring the half slabs all the way over. That looks good right now, but the problem that I have with it is that those half slabs are now covering up the red tube, and it looks kind of off to me because now you've got half slabs only covering half the red tubes, and it looks just out of place to me a little bit. That looks pretty good. We went added just a pinstripe of white concrete going along that white terracotta with the cut. And I'm just doing that to get in a little bit of detail and differentiation between the light gray and the white terracotta. And that that looks pretty solid. That doesn't look bad at all. Not gonna lie though, I think we're gonna go back to what we had because that just doesn't look quite as good. That doesn't look horrible. So I'm gonna try the same thing on this side just to see how it looks. Just to try it on. And if it doesn't look right, we could always take it down. But that actually, I don't know, that doesn't look horrible. That kind of um, and the way I have that white concrete with a pattern, it kind of goes with that piece that's this piece right here that's attached to the warp core. That doesn't look bad. We're gonna flatten out this back wall a little bit, just a little. You see, every so often I'm going to the front of the room and I'm walking into, and I'm doing this for perspective because I'm trying to make sure that the changes that I'm making are staying true to at least the reference material that I'm using. And again, all these changes, you can't see them in the screenshot, but that's exactly why I'm doing it, because as long as I can't see this stuff when I first walk into this room, you can kind of get away with it. I'm just making this into a computer console. I feel like that's a good place to tuck one away on that back wall there. It's out of the way. It feels like it's built into the ship. That's like a perfect spot to put one. You see, we replaced the bottom row with gray just to have a nice transition. Then we're going to do the blue concrete to simulate a screen. There we go. That looks pretty good. We can maybe add a couple more of those in this room, but maybe not go too crazy with it. Um, Enterprise D definitely had its fair share of workstations in engineering, so that's definitely something to take into consideration for this room, at least. I'm actually swapping these walls out for the light gray concrete just so that it matches the walls in here. Yeah, see, I mean, it looks so much better than that flat wall that was there before. This is the other thing too. You could easily add a doorway from that hallway on the other side here, and you can turn this area into like storage or something like that if you're playing this on survival. So having that dead space sometimes isn't a bad thing, because look at it this way, especially if you're playing on survival, you're always going to have like growing pains and like want to expand. So you could take that dead space and use it to your advantage is basically what I'm getting at. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to do this whole back wall in the gray, or just going right up to this last row here. This will be the last one, and then the rest we'll just leave in white. They may not look bad. Could maybe leave that and get away with it. I don't know. Yeah, see what I mean? You walk into the room, it still looks like a circle. That's all that matters. As long as it looks like a circle, we're good right here. So we're going to hop into the last section of today's episode, and we're going to be cleaning up this area right here. I've been talking about this a couple episodes ago that I wanted to clean this area up. I took kind of like an artistic liberty there, and well, not necessarily an artistic liberty. That's just kind of how it came out when I built it. And I don't know, it just it's been standing out to me to the point that I got to go back and fix it. So we're going to take care of that real quick. Really, what we're going to be focusing on is this piece and this one right there. We're kind of gonna try to make them not look so blocky. Best way I can describe it. Don't want to completely rebuild them. There's no need to. There's a couple of ways that you could approach this. I kind of feel like at this point that you could either try to completely rebuild it with half slabs. You can use a combination of half slabs or stairs. What I decided to do was a combination of half slabs and the existing full block. So we're going to do a row of half slabs going all the way around this thing to cut the intensity of the size of the first block in half. So we have kind of like a transitional period between the two of them. It'll make it look a little bit more curved than it currently looks. All right, now once we've done that, we're going to delete this top row here and we're going to replace it with a half slab. Very minor change, but the change that we're making still nonetheless, I mean, that looks to me, uh, actually looks a lot better than the one on the right here. The only downside to it is that it doesn't perfectly match the Canon as far as color goes, but that's just going to be one of those things that I think the white looks better than the gray. Half's a gray concrete slab, and even though the white one is outside of Canon with this area right here, I don't really think it matters at this point. You know, as long as we're staying as true to it as we possibly can, and only veering away from it when we have to. I feel when you make those decisions, you can get away with doing something like this. Is basically what I'm getting at. And I think that it's worth doing this because that, I mean, man, that looks so good now. It looks so much better than it did before. It's not all hulking and bulky on those pieces now. It's a little bit more streamlined, kind of like the rest of the ship is. You see just all those changes that we've made now. Um, Things that we've revisited on the bridge, on this piece here, on the engines. She's really looking a lot pretty much like how she did on the show. We've gotten a lot done on today's episode, and I'm pretty happy with the progress that we've made. We've still got some stuff to do, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And I'm more than likely going to be hopping back on Minecraft here in just a little bit, so definitely keep an eye on my Twitch channel if you want to catch my new live stream that I'm going to be doing tonight after this on Enterprise D. Super excited about that. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's video. And if you did enjoy this content, if you could please help me out and hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Also, new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you always get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, don't forget to follow me at twitch.tv/zero elite. You can always catch my new live streams Sundays through Thursdays, typically between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget to follow me at youtube.com/c/zero elite. You can always catch my new Starship Evo builds dropping on Mondays and my new Minecraft videos dropping Tuesdays through Fridays. And those videos on YouTube drop at 10 a.m. Eastern. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.